there was a point in time, and I can't say when it was, but I definitely, it rang a bell. I was like, holy shit, I can learn anything I want to learn, you know? And
Right.
that was, you know, there was definitely a period of time where my ear couldn't hear certain things. I'd be like, okay, some of this, you know, some changes, the altered dominant thing, well, it's not making sense to me.
Yeah.
I could hear a little bit as long as it was applied to a specific song or a specific chord. But then, you know, certain techniques and so on and certain ways of developing my ear just kind of unlocked some stuff where I realized anything I could put my mind to, I can sit down and learn. And
when did that come? Because to me, I think that's one of the things that I would like everyone to discover that they can do.
Right.
You know, I mean, obviously you're not going to be sorting out altered dominants if you're working on your G, C, and D chord.
Right.
But, you know, when you start to see that, wow, I actually can keep progressing.
Right.
That becomes really powerful. So maybe it was something you discovered earlier when you just learned your first tune by ear, but when did you get to that point where you felt that you can handle those challenges?
Well, maybe I should clarify that a little bit. So early on, I mean, any of the stuff of the rock era, I could get off the record.
Sure.
So I was playing along with the Hendrix records and figuring out. I mean, that took a while.
Which is still pretty challenging. Yeah,
that was very challenging. And then, you know, Cream and Zeppelin, you know, and even some of those things later on, I'd figure, well, I wasn't doing that right. It's really this.
Right.
But that stuff I could at least hear and play an arrangement of.
Yeah.
But then later on, when I started to learn a couple of jazz things, and then there were like some Chet Atkins things that I technically, you know, I didn't play with a thumb pick. I do hybrid picking, so I started figuring out how to do some of that stuff with picking fingers. You know,
did you figure that out on your own? Did somebody sort you out with that?
I got a book. I got a book of transcriptions, and I just did it like one measure at a time, 2 measures, 3 measures.
How did you keep your patience to break it down? Because I think some people would get to measure 2 and go, no, I can't do this.
Well, I am not a big believer in the divine right of kings. So my mind is if it can be done, it can be done.
Right. If someone did it,
it can be done.
You can do it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I just, and that has worked. You know, I'm like, even some of the things I'm like, how are they doing that? And then it can be done. And then I just sit down and figure it out, and then realize a lot of times as I'm figuring it out, I was like, well, what they did was cool, but I want to make it my own. So here's going to be my take from that. You know what I mean? So I figure out how they did it, and then I try to mutate it into my own little thing. But
in a way, you almost created your own technique or your own sound by trying to emulate someone else.
Correct.
You said, well, that's cool, but how can I bring this into my world?
Right.
And now make it individual.
Exactly. And, you know, some people just want to sound like other people, and there's nothing wrong with that either. You know what I mean? But my thing was always trying to kind of take things from all these different places to apply to a unique approach.
Like adapting it.
Exactly.
Yeah.